They say the best ideas come to those who wait. At least it's something like that. So that's what I'm gonna do today. No plans. No nothing. I'm just going to sit here on my feet in silence and let the universe tell me what to do. Well, that's enough of that. But this gives me an idea. It's about time we got to talk about the favorite Pokemon of Ken Sugimori, the creator of Pokemon. No, really, he's on record stating that Hoothoot was his most favorite Pokemon he ever designed. Well, until he changed his mind and went with Gengar in a later interview. Good choice. Yeah. Still, it's surprising that Hoothoot ever was, honestly. There's nothing inherently wrong with the design. It's adorable, but it's not exactly iconic. So what makes this tiny owl so special? Well, Ken's reason is quite simple. Nostalgia. Sugimori owned a pet bird as a kid that used to stand on one leg. The species of his bird is unknown. It probably wasn't an owl, though pet owls aren't unheard of in Japan. But what's important here is what's in the heart. And just so we're clear, Hoothoot, or Hoothoot if you're feeling devilish, does have 2 feet. It's just shy about the second one, so it's usually tucked up inside of its feathers somewhere. Birds standing on 1 foot is by no means uncommon. Plenty of birds of various size and shape do this, owls included. Being a bird is exhausting, you see, because they can't sit. Like, no, really. Anatomically, it is pretty much impossible. You may have seen some, like, pigeons being chill, though, but that bird is suffering from a deadly tendon disease. There's always exceptions to rules, but generally, it's pretty much impossible for birds to truly sit the way we humans do. So the only real way they can relax their legs is to switch between feet. But aside from just a relief mechanism, it also makes Hoothoot kind of look like its legs are a pendulum hanging from a grandfather clock, doesn't it? I don't think it's a surprise to say Hoothoot has many clock elements incorporated into its design. Its body is shaped like the face of a clock. It's got clock gear eyeliner, and its eyebrows are the clock hands. Even its name, Hoothoot, aside from being the onomatopoeia for an owl call, kinda has the same repetition and inflection as a cuckoo clock, saying cuckoo, cuckoo, hoo-hoo, Hoothoot! See? It works! And not to mention, owls themselves are just as common in clock designs as any other bird, except, actually, no, they are more common. In fact, the very first cuckoo clock ever invented in the 3rd century used water pressure and a whistle to make an owl move. And clocks with owl designs are just as prevalent today, too. Here's one my grandma owns. It's old as heck. I remember its eyes staring into my soul all the way back when I was a wee lad. And that's enough of that! Oh, and look at the time! I have done the, oh, look at the time gag, where I look at my wrist and I don't have an actual watch and that makes it funny, but I've done it so often that it's not funny anymore. And yet, what's going on? Oh, that's from today's sponsor, Holzkjörn, a young team based in Austria who have been sharing their love of wood and natural unique products with the world for more than 7 years now. I do absolutely adore the grain, the marbling, and the iridescence of wood. Check your other wrist. Whoa! That's so cool and comfortable that I didn't realize I had it on. Holzkjörn makes superb watches, jewelry, handbags, and sunglasses for men and women out of all natural materials. Even these high-quality handbags or unicases are made from wood, which honestly is very impressive. But I'm more blown away by just how intricate and deep these watches can look, combining the classy mechanical parts against the natural beauty of the wood. I just got my wife this assemblage necklace and bracelet since I felt it symbolized our love well. It combines my love of wood grain with her love of rose gold and bees. Mainly bees, and thus hexagons, because bees. Any piece from Holzkjörn makes for an excellent, natural, memorable gift to symbolize your love, friendship, or memorization of an important date. It's also good to know that each purchase also helps reforestation projects, as Holzkjörn partners with the Jane Goodall Institute and more. I love trees, and I adore these, and you can peruse their selection of goodies using the link at the top of the description box below, and if you use the code LOXTON15, you will not only get 15% off of your purchase, but also a free jewelry polishing cloth worth 15 euros. I feel so posh and swanky, but in a cool, modest way, you know? Time's up. So back to birds and clock designs. Birds are pretty much nature's timekeepers when you think about it. Let's play a fun game. We'll turn off the lights. Let's see if you can guess what time of day it is. If you said daybreak or dawn, then that's 1 point for you. Next. Give yourself another point if you said nighttime. This one is a bit tougher. A loon during dusk is a thing. Let me know in the comments if you got that one, and maybe subscribe while you're down there. But you get the point now. The Pokedex supports this claim as well. It has a perfect sense of time. Whatever happens, it keeps rhythm by precisely tilting its head in time. It begins to hoot at the same time every day. Some trainers use them in place of clocks. Oh, it's no wonder Hoothoot's eyes are so red. The poor thing never gets any sleep. It's busy being a clock. But actually, it makes a lot of sense that their eyes are so red. Hoothoot and Noctowl seem to be based on a horned species of owl. No, they don't actually have horns, but various species like the great horned owl or the Eurasian eagle owl have tufted feathers on their foreheads that certainly look like horns. And the one that inspired Hoothoot fits the bill too. The Japanese Scops owl, which I will forever call the Scoops owl, because they are free. You can just, and it's yours. It's a great match too. It's a small brown owl with red eyes and feather horns, and it's found throughout Japan, including Kansai, the real-life inspiration for the Johto region, where Hoothoot calls home. Noctowl too is based on a Japanese species of horned owl, the previously mentioned Eurasian eagle owl. It's a pretty close match overall. The eyebrows are accented with blonde, and these triangles on the Pokemon's chest are nearly identical to the streaks all over the bird, and the similarities don't stop at appearance. This Pokemon's Pokedex entries are insanely accurate to the real-life counterpart. Its eyes are specially adapted. They concentrate even faint light and enable it to see in the dark. Its extremely soft feathers make no sound in flight. It silently sneaks up on prey without being detected. Really, both of these dex entries also apply exactly to owls in general, like they didn't even add any special Pokemon nonsense. These are just literal owl facts. Even this one, when it needs to think, it rotates its head 180 degrees to sharpen its intellectual power. It's technically true as well. In fact, in this case, the real animal beats the Pokemon. How often does that happen? Real owls rotate their heads nearly 270 degrees. And technically, I can too. I'd just die. Ever wonder why owls can nearly turn their head in a complete circle, but when you look left the wrong way, you're suddenly on life support? This is because owls are basically triple jointed, and their necks have more arteries than a typical bird too. Though, the turning motion actually restricts the blood flow in some arteries depending on the position of the head, and that's blood flow to the brain specifically, so these arteries and the heart are always working overtime to make up for this lost brain blood. In a way, some of these owls almost have to manually pump blood to their brains, thanks to all the extra arteries in there. Or at least they have to conscientiously remember, oh wait, I can't look that way too long, I'll pass out. But this is Pokemon after all, it can't all be true to life. And there's no reason turning its head would make the animal smarter. If anything, based on what we just discussed, it makes them dumber, restricting blood flow to the brain and all that. But Pokemon Ultramoon gets even crazier by saying that Noctowl can turn its head completely upside down, which real-life owls can kind of do, but it's more like they just look upwards really, really far. Ow. Like, I don't care who you are. You can't turn your head just literally however you please. Oops. On another note, does this line fit the prey-to-predator theme shown by all the other regional birds? You bet it does. Though they are a bit different. While the other lines start as small passerine birds and evolve into birds of prey, that's not the case for these two. Instead, the base animal stays the same. But the Japanese Scops owl sticks to insects, frogs, and small mammals. The Eurasian eagle owl, on the other hand, sizes up its diet, hunting rabbits, herons, and even smaller owls! The betrayal! How could you eat your baby? I get that you've become a grouchy old man as evident by your bushy anime eyebrow, but you can't do that! No, I realize old people are wise and knowledgeable, hence also the many depictions of Father Time, but what does that have to do? Yes, I understand that owls represent wisdom. I don't understand what you're... You're not suggesting that I eat a baby to gain wisdom. Don't just sit there. Go to the next scene. Go. Anyways, yes, owls are a common symbol of wisdom. Of course, Noctowl's name was derived from nocturnal and owl because, I don't know, owls are most active at night and all. Owls in general are also amazing at stealth hunting. Their feathers are built in ways that trap sound, effectively letting them flap inaudibly, allowing them to sneak up on their prey completely unnoticed. But they themselves can also hear a lot, just hearing everything, because their ears are placed on their heads all wonky, so they can pinpoint the exact location of a scurrying rodent in true 3D space. And I mean, have you heard of Peruvian owls? They are smart enough that they hunt in pairs, because they're in cahoots. They're in cahoots! But this stealthy and nocturnal hunting style impressed the ancient Greeks, who bestowed the bird their intelligent status in the first place. They believed owls could produce magical light from their eyes that allowed them to see in the dark, a concept that directly inspired Noctowl's glowing eyes, might I add. But they took this idea one step further. They believed this light was a gift from Athena, the goddess of wisdom. She was so fond of owls that they're considered her sacred animal, and many depictions pair her with an owl that sits on her shoulder, acting as a second set of eyes to watch her back and reveal the truths of the world to her. So, Kanto's regional bird incorporated Egyptian mythology, and Johto's is Greek, and that's neat. It's a shame they kind of dropped this theming for future generations, but I guess they sort of brought it back for Gen 8.
Also, Noctowl is one of the OG shiny Pokemon alongside the red Gyarados.
Very true, Birdkeeper Toby. Also, I love that Hoothoot hat.
Sorry, did you just pronounce the th in Hoothoot? That's disgusting. Anyway, Noctowl was the first shiny Pokemon introduced in the anime, and of course Ash Ketchum added it to his team, and is the only shiny Pokemon that Ash has ever caught, so Noctowl's got some pretty impressive origins, right?
Oh, it's shiny color. Gold? Well, no, because there's no real owls that really match that color, but there are yellow owl clovers and succulent owl's clover plants that match.
They mostly live in Minnesota!
Gold is associated with age and wisdom, though, your golden years and all that, after you've spent a lot of time on this earth. And also gold and brass are often used in classy, high-end clock parts. So it all works out pretty good, I guess. Ultimately, though, Hoothoot and Noctowl's clock motif works well not only because of the connections between owls and wisdom with age and thus a lot of time, but also with just their connection to clocks in general. And of course, the fact that Pokemon Gold and Silver were the first Pokemon games to introduce real time, a real clock system in-game that cycles between day and night, and that changes which Pokemon are out and about. And of course, these two Pokemon are the icons of nocturnal Pokemon. Hence Noctowl.
So really, what better time to introduce a tiny Pokemon?
Precisely. There's almost always a reason why a Pokemon is introduced in the game that it is. And that being said, there is another bird that is pretty confusing. Like Halucha. The heck is a luchador hawk doing in France or Kalos? There's gotta be some pretty deep lore reasoning there. So yeah, check out our Halucha video next. Hoothoot.